Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our panel discussion. Something I am super excited about. Like I said before, we're going to be talking about the digital transformation of Swedish industries. And once again, we've never had anything like this before, so I'm super excited. Let's get him on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the CEO of Northvolt, Peter Carlsson. Also with us today, ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of Sandvik, Klas Forsström. Great to have you with us, President and CEO of Scania, Henriksson.
Scania eller Scania?
Oh, got some fans. Welcome. Also with us today, President and CEO of SKF Group, Alrik Danielsson. All right, look at that energy. Nice to have you. Also with us today, ladies and gentlemen, CEO of Electrolux, Brockmann. Welcome. Also joining us, ladies and gentlemen, CEO of Siemens Nordics and Sweden, Troedsson. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, CEO Digital Industries, Siemens AG, Klaus Henrik. So, there. Where you want? I'll sit in the middle. So, gentlemen, great to have you. Wow, talk about some energy on stage, huh? You seem to be as excited as I am. So I think you're in a good mood. I'm in a good mood. Our audience is also in a good mood. What could go wrong here? We're going to have an open discussion, like I said before, as you being company leaders of some of the leading global players from Sweden. And we want to have, like I said before, an open discussion, so feel free to add comments whenever you hear anything you think you want to join in on, okay? We're going to start off with talking a bit about the perspectives. Your perspectives, of course, but before we do that, it'd be great if we could have a short introduction of you all, at least your company. Just 2 or 3 sentences. Why don't we start it off with you, Jan?
Yeah, thanks. So Electrolux is a global leader in household appliances, 60 million products, global presence, great consumer experiences, many brands, Electrolux, or in Germany, AEG.
How about you, Alrik?
SKF is a world leader within the rotating shaft, which is probably one of the world's absolute most common applications. And it makes the things turn. And you can imagine how we in the digitalized space can completely change the way we do business and the way we operate today.
All about rotation.
I am super excited to be here. Thank you.
Next up, Henrik.
Yeah, so Scania is a provider of sustainable transport solutions. We have a purpose to drive the shift to more sustainable transport solutions. What we provide is heavy trucks and buses. We are present in 120 countries around the world.
Thank you very much. Klas?
Sandvik is a global leader all the way from specialized steel to mining equipment and into machining. I represent machining, and we touch everything that moves before it moves.
And Peter?
Well, definitely not a global leader, but representing the Scandinavian startup scene, and Northvolt is into battery and energy storage, and we are aiming to build Europe's largest battery plant.
And Ulf and Klaus, of course, here from Siemens, as we know what Siemens does. But the first question I'd like to direct to Ulf anyway. What is your personal reflection on digitalization of industries in Sweden? I mean, you have a very broad scope of knowledge when it comes to this.
I think something you said already, Chris. How difficult could it be? I mean, Sweden is already in front runner in digitalization, adapting new technology. We have a great startup scene in digitalization, so the basis is there to be successful. Our take is, I mean, the bigger companies has to answer for them, but what we did in Sweden, we looked into the small and medium-sized companies and found a little bit 2 camps. One is the one that is taking on a new technology very fast, but the other ones, in an economical boom and with capacity, we are reaching the capacity cap. Some companies is focusing what they're doing today. They are not looking so much. So we have done a lot to help, and we also founded a Smart Industry Prize to, move the awareness that things is going on. The other thing is competence, and I think we see that all of us here to find the competence in the market, lack of competence in AI and so on. And there I think we could do much more together, because industry is cool today. It's cooler than gaming, right? So, and the fourth thing, I would say, also going back to collaboration, it's not only about technology. We need to, som vi säger I Sverige, kroka arm. We need to come closer and work and collaborate. And I think it's a very good example here what we do together. But also to collaborate in other things than technology, like we do with Scania. You took an initiative for the Pathway Coalition to see how can we drive sustainability in the transport by digitalization and cooperate. So these are the four main things, I think.
Thank you for starting it off, Ulf. I'd like to pose a question to Peter. As you are right now basically building a giant battery factory, but not just some kind of battery factory, what's so special about it? Tell our audience what it's all about.
Well, we started a couple of years ago looking at Europe and seeing a very large transformation happening in Europe, both on the energy distribution as well as in the transportation sector. Both these sectors requires an enormous amount of energy storage to boost that transformation. And when we compared the upcoming demand versus the sources of supply, we saw a very, very interesting opportunity. So we started to build on a thesis that we could actually compete with the Asians. Because they are really dominating in the battery space. And the way that we're doing it is that we're building scale. We're building automation, also with the help of these people. But we're also building integration. So we're integrating material preparation as part of the factory. And thereby, we're also bringing in a very energy-consuming part of the manufacturing and supply chain process. And while doing that, then we really get the big advantage up in the Nordics, where we have a lot of hydro energy. We have some of the lowest cost of energy, and we can really build a very competitive manufacturing setup.
So when we talk about size and how big it's going to be, I mean, what is the predicted output annually?
Well, if we talk about size, we're right now preparing 100 soccer fields of ground. So 100 hectares, so it will be roughly 500,000 square meters. The output, when the factory is fully up and running, in cylindrical cells will roughly be 1.8 billion cells per year, or roughly 500,000 to 600,000 vehicles worth of
wow, that's amazing.
Batteries.
If you put that in gigawatts, that's like 32 or something like that.
32 gigawatt hours.
And for our audience, if you're not familiar with the size, 1 gigawatt is equivalent to roughly 100 million LED bulbs. Something I think most people can rather relate to. So you can kind of imagine the size and the output we're talking about here. Once again, gentlemen, if you want to add in, just feel free to join. Next question will go to Klas. Now, I know Sandvik started a new division, the Applied Manufacturing Technologies, where you develop and also market agnostic digital solutions, but you also have been driving added value services with Sandvik Coromants. Is that how you pronounce it? I hope
That's
so.
right.
Yes, okay. So what are the achievements so far?
Before I start to talk about the achievements, I think I would like to describe that we are totally convinced that the traditional line of manufacturing, starting with design, going into preparation, coming into production or machining, and then verification or metrology, will become circular.
Okay.
And whatever you create in design, you need to bring forward as a digital twin into production. And measurement will move into production as well. And that's the reason why we truly believe in agnostic metrology solutions. Because many customers of us do have different metrology machines, but they could use the same type of system. And it's a little bit, our story is, today we are paid, if we were a pen manufacturer, we are paid by the pen, we are selling the pen.
Right.
But in reality, what we give to our customer is the novel that the pen is writing, and that we believe should be digitalized.
Interesting. So is that also or is that kind of like an outlook into the future for the industry in general?
I think that is, it's very, very hard for someone to claim that you need to be the solution. I think very much on collaboration. I think what we have talked about with Siemens as a partner, that is how can we connect, and I think we have many ongoing discussions. But the chain or the line of first you do this, then you do that, will become circular, and you need to bring knowledge all the way through the chain.
Interesting. You agree?
Oh, we use their latest technology in their latest condition monitoring on tool bits with really, really interesting results. So I can just, as a customer, confirm.
Right. Henrik,
Alrik.
What trends and opportunities do you see? I know you've partnered up, Scania has partnered up with Siemens to integrate Siemens technology together with, of course, your knowledge when it comes to electrification of powertrains for trucks and buses, which, by the way, has led to Sweden being the first country in the world to implement an e-highway. What's next?
Yeah, I think it's actually trying to make transport as sustainable as possible. And even if I provide solutions for the road, I have to take the hat off and salute the train people. Because what they have done is actually take renewable energy through a line straight into an electric engine that drives an axle that drives the wheels. That is pretty sustainable. And what we're trying to do here is actually trying to do that on the road with the flexibility. And as a quest and as part of our purpose to drive the shift towards more sustainable solutions, electrification will be one of the key pillars to create that change. Both through batteries, we're cooperating with Peter early on as an investor as well, because we believe that is the long-term solution. But we also see that utilizing an highway system, electrical highway system, will be today a good business case for the one who owns the infrastructure, the one who provides the transport, and the one who buys the transport. So it is actually a solution that already they can work. And what we see is that is also the foundation for building not only an e-highway, but actually building also a digital highway, because soon we will have involvements like autonomous vehicles coming in, and we will see a different kind of transport systems than we have today. And it's time for us to build that infrastructure. And I think that is what we work together with Siemens. And I think we have found a model that works. We've shown that it actually can go through snow and blisters and heat and summer and so on, and the system works. So what we need to do now is get our politicians to understand the possibilities here and actually push the button. But it's basically like what we did 100 years ago with the railway. So we just have to do the same thing, because it's not only the heavy vehicles that will benefit from this. Sorry, but I had to say that, I mean, you talked about big powers. If you have to charge a truck today, an electrical truck, you would need roughly 1 megawatt hour. So if you take one of these autobahn stops and you have 50 trucks standing there fueling up, if they would use electricity, so instead 50 megawatts, the whole Hannover will close down. Wow. So I mean, so we need to do something about the infrastructure which is not in place. Yes. And then we can, of course, combine these vehicles also with battery technology, so we don't have to build full stretches of electrical highways. We can have patches, and in between we run on the batteries.
So you just mentioned politicians that you need to talk to.
Oh yes.
How is that? How is talking? Is that difficult?
Yeah, no, I think it's good, because we have had a good run, but I mean, something that makes me sick and tired is all this piloting. We need to go from that to actually pure action, and I think that is what we have done now in Sweden and also in Germany. So the pilots are running, but now let's see some action, let's see some decisions, and because we tend to wait for that silver bullet that will sort of be perfect, but you know, the climate change is not waiting for us.
Right.
Paris, that clock is ticking,
right,
and we cannot wait for the silver bullet. And this is as good as it gets today. Let's push the button.
All right. That's yep.
What I have to say to Henrik's favor is he's a really strong driver also into his own organization. Because obviously, you know, you have a big engineering organization that have been doing 50 years of diesel development. To do that change doesn't come overnight.
Right.
And Henrik has been a tremendous advocate. But the fun thing is, when we started to meet up with bus and truck companies 3 years ago, they were all talking about this change beyond 2025 and maybe 2030. This is when electrification is happening. And every meeting, it's moving closer and closer. And the momentum, it's it's city buses, it's last mile distribution. Cities are starting to talk about banning diesel into.
Right.
So it's moving.
I'm waiting for his factory to get up. I want his batteries yesterday, so I mean...
When is it planned to be up and running? Can you say that?
Well, our demo plant, which is 400 megawatt hours, will be up and running end of this year.
Okay.
And then the big factory will be up and running in beginning of 2021.
Okay. Next question would go to Alrik. I know in your factory in Gothenburg, Sweden, most machines and also equipment is already connected and produces an amazing amount of data. Now, I guess this has probably transformed operations and also competencies.
Well, we have a unique opportunity, and this is what we're working together with Siemens with, is to say that, for the first time, cost and flexibility in a factory and where it's located, it doesn't matter anymore if we play it right. So we can be competitive and flexible with low volume, sort of in anywhere of the world. And of course, we need to be that in close to the customer and close to the markets. And here, the Siemens control systems and MindSphere, what MindSphere is doing is fantastic. There's something else, I think. We were talking about these autonomous systems, and of course, in an autonomous world, we can't have unpredicted failures. So what MindSphere is doing with SKF, if you go up to the left up there, you can see our exhibit together with MindSphere. We're actually giving everybody using MindSphere the possibility of eliminating all unforeseen failures and going one step beyond. If we can take the product, the bearing, out of your application before it really crashes, we can probably reuse it.
Right.
And then you don't have to scrap it, you don't have to melt it, you can circle it. And you're talking about true circular economy. So based on what Electrolux is doing in their machines, what Scania and so forth, here we are sort of behind the scenes, after sales, seeing to it that we can reap the full benefits of this. And here, MindSphere, you can imagine, when we started with this 25, 30 years ago, we needed an army of people. It was very expensive. Through MindSphere, it's available. It's just to hook yourself up and then you're on.
Right. So would you say competencies have shifted, and how did you manage that?
I mean, this is one of the reasons we're sitting here, right? We need people to understand that this needs to go faster.
Right.
In other parts of the world, it's happening very quickly. We need to speed up here in Europe, and
you're at the forefront.
That's why we're here.
Exactly. That's why we're asking. Also, how did you manage to do so? And you see the responsibility also with the companies, right? To manage.
Yeah, and you see it here.
Competency shift.
Yeah, and I see why are we sitting here? I mean, one of the things is we have Ulf in Sweden in the Nordics. We have Klaus, determined to see to it that it actually happens.
Right.
And that's why it's happening.
Right. Exactly. That's why
it's no magic. It's about do it.
How about from your perspective, Jan? What do you think? How has digitalization changed the requirements of the customers on the one side, but also the challenges that you have to deal with on a daily basis?
Yeah, as I said earlier, we got to provide great consumer experiences on the 60 million products, 600 million products installed base globally, right? And consumer expectations, I think you got to start from there. They ask us to be more sustainable, faster, and in every aspect, right? So we all are consumers, right? Let's imagine the purchase process. We do it more and more online, right? 25% of even white goods are sold online. And they are assessed online. We all give the ratings on Amazon and all the channels. So the expectation from the consumer on the quality, on the brand strength, and then on the fulfillment is much higher, because the more you order online, the more you expect next day delivery or within 2 days. Otherwise, you don't even order. And coming from that experience, that expectation, which is a great transformer for our business, we get to what we do with Siemens, which is to flexibilize our supply chain, automate our factories, digitalize our factories, to live up to this consumer expectation, right? And I have to say, the Swedish mindset, being a leader in telecom classically, in bearings, in automation, of course, right? similar to, of course, Germany as well, makes it a natural leader in this thinking. And that's also how we defend and win against customers, against competitors from other regions, right? Because we can only provide the uniqueness of this productivity setup with strong brands and a culture that is, for instance, grounded on sustainability values that we, of course, transform to our consumers. All that together is a unique strength, right? If you miss one part, like the operational efficiency, the digitalization, the rest is not so valuable in a competitive business.
Interesting. And then, of course, we come to Siemens, and I'd like to ask Klaus on the side, how can Siemens secure that, regional regulations on the one side, but also customer requirements, or let's say local requirements, in this case in Sweden, are considered when it comes to product development and also, marketing?
Yeah, so first of all, we have a very close relationship to all of our customers. And I personally, and as well Ulf, we are doing a lot on C-level selling. But C-level selling is not talking about the wonderful things, what is above and in the cloud. We're talking about the reality, what are the pressure on the industries, and how Siemens can help it. Customer do it better. What I see today is there is a strong tendency that consumers, customers demand more individualized products. This means you have to organize the way how you design your product, how you produce a product in a completely different way. And as Alrik said, if you cannot integrate in your design and manufacturing process a very high flexibility, you cannot fulfill the time to market. If you cannot do the time to market, you are out of the market. And we had a pre-discussion that we see more and more that we work together in ecosystems, that we collaborate even stronger. And this is how we in Siemens are doing this, that we collaborate, we co-innovate, but you can only co-innovate when you understand the pressure of your customers, where the really need is, where the needle is, which you have to solve finally. And what we did at the end is, we don't talk any longer about a single feature of an individual product. We talk about how our customers can develop their products in the virtual world. You said a digital twin. Then we take the digital twin of the product, we put it into the manufacturing, then we simulate the factory, and the factory then exactly fits to the product needs. Then you have a very integrated flexibility. And this is our direction, and also what we do is we focus even more to the individual verticals. You can see here at our booth verticals like fiber. You see verticals like car builders. You see verticals like food and beverage. And this you have to tailor-made, and then you are completely in this ecosystem.
So basically, collaboration is key here, and being as close as possible to the customer. Actually, am I on? No. Something that should be clear to everyone. But then again, isn't that easy always to implement? I mean, it's these things at the same time, all these customer demands at the same time, and so forth. What disruptive technologies, this is an open question to you all, would you consider as being most crucial in the progress of your business? Is it AI? Is it edge computing? Is it additive manufacturing? What are we talking about?
I think like this, then, and this is, for me, beyond our industry to some extent. Additive manufacturing, and why I'm saying additive manufacturing, even if we are performing subtractive manufacturing currently, I think that is something that can bring in the interest from the youngsters into the industry. I'm worried we talk about politicians, but I think I'm even more worried about how attractive is the industry in bringing in talents. And I hopefully see in front of me that it will be a maker's generation coming forward. And if that can happen, then I think our industry is extremely successful moving forward. So not only from technology, but also from attractiveness, I think that additive manufacturing is very, very important.
Interesting.
I think also, add another dimension, I think regardless of which of these disruptiveness you talk about as technologies, I think the most lethal one, the most dangerous one, will be the one that is combined with a new business model. Because if you combine this new sort of disruptive technology with a new business model that turn suddenly upside down the sort of conditions that you have in your ecosystem that you feel cozy and comfortable in.
Exactly.
That's when it's going to hit you.
I would say the most disruptive technology is the one that serves the consumer. That means that don't build barriers, that is open, because it's about speed, right? And any technology is not acknowledged by consumer value if it's not, in today's world, open, adjustable, and therefore delivers fast value to the consumer. Whether it's aftermarket, product sell, B2B solutions, it doesn't matter. And I think that should be an important guiding principle for those that are at the core of the European, let me say, also European competence building, which is so crucial for us to succeed in a global competition.
Is there a specific technology you have your eyes on regarding your products?
For me, it's not edge or cloud computing. It's about open standard and then picking the best and bringing it together in half a year delivery time. Right? I don't need perfection, but ready in 4 years. 4 years, I don't know what happens in 4 years in a consumer market, which is, of course, digitalizing on the front end, also by consumers.
How important speed is.
Exactly.
I mean, for me, it's what MindSphere is trying to do, actually. The most disruptive technology is the one that's actually applied, that actually is there out with the vast majority of the people. And MindSphere can, for instance, do that. You can hook up any machines, you can get a full control of your process, and you can use all these partners of Siemens to actually improve your performance from today at a very, very low cost. And that's actually applying the technology. Then there will always be, new technologies coming on. If it's not applied, it's not disruptive. It's applied, it's disruptive. And that's what's so fantastic with MindSphere. It's a very, very assertive initiative to actually apply these things that we're working with.
And as being in the transport sector, what would you say, Henrik? I mean, this is an industry which is, of course, in the public eye more than a lot of other industries, also heavily impacted by digitalization and AI and autonomous driving and all this stuff. What's your view on that?
But I think in general terms, it is the autonomous driving that will be truly disruptive in the way that the greatest asset that we have with our customers is, of course, that their core asset is the driver. And if you take away the driver from our customers, they lose their reason for existing. And so that if the whole sort of customer base disappears overnight, I think that is of course a risk, because once transport will become autonomous eventually fully, then our customers will be what is today our customer's customer. And that is a new way of thinking. And that is a new business model. So what should we provide 15 years from now? Is it trucks and buses? No, probably not. We're probably a transport or logistic provider who is working towards our customer's customer. And how do we set up the company to be competitive in that environment? I think those are the challenges that we see. That is what I'm not worried about my current competitors. I'm worried about those ones coming in from the dead angle, and suddenly they are ahead of you on the highway.
Right.
I see a future. I see a few new technology are coming up, which have a huge potential for our industries. Like as you said, additive manufacturing, 5G, more simulation software, edge computing, analyzing data and taking out of the data value and bring it back to the process, also cloud technology. And I think what more relevant is that we find not a single technology, but in the combination of different technologies is a value. So when we take building flexibility by using 5G, bringing additional simulation in, then you can create an ecosystem which using completely different technologies, and in the combination is the value. And this is exactly what we are driving under this umbrella of digital enterprise concept, that we not provide any single product, but we offer a complete portfolio and an ecosystem where customers can pick what they need, but in the combination is a benefit. And as you said, it is also important that we have open standards, that we have open interfaces, that we're not a closed shop, but we have openness, that we have interfaces where we can connect to all legacy systems. And this is the reason I'm saying the interactions, the integration is key, but also adding new technologies in.
For example, MindSphere is a great example. That's exactly what it is.
And just to add to what Henrik says, we're talking about fee-based systems, where the relationship between a supplier and a customer is completely changed. You're paying for a functionality as opposed for a thing, and that's coming into the industrial space too.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I see SKF more and more actually providing rotation as opposed
Instead
to
of
selling you a
parts.
product.
Yeah.
And this is going to, there's so many advantages because you align the interests of the customer and the supplier in a way that is going to be mind-blowing. That's going to be disruptive for real. And you see it in your business, you see it in the car business with leasing, etc. You see it in your business and we see it in ours. And here, MindSphere again, without MindSphere, it's going to be too costly. With MindSphere, we can connect everybody and we can start saying, hey, I'll help you reduce your cost, improve your efficiency, and reduce the environmental impact drastically. And MindSphere is one of the main tools to do this.
And what you just said, I'm also one of the users of, when it comes to cars, for example, I rather pay a one-off fee a month to know that, no matter what happens, I'll be mobile.
Yeah.
Right.
But here it's about paying less,
Right.
It's paying less. That's the interesting thing,
And the ones
and
that
it can happen now.
Is in the end.
It can happen now with MindSphere and with the technology that's in the portfolio. You can do that now.
Wolf, anything from your side, Ad?
Again, I think it's so important that we don't get lost in only technology. We need to show the value that it creates. And sometimes, we all come from an engineering background, or many of us, we are really hyped by all these nice things in 3D, and if you can dream it, you can print it. But we need to show the value in a simple way. And the other thing, back to what you said, Klas, I think we need to make industry cool. I would really like to invite you to attract the new generation, we need to get the best talent into the industry. If we could do something together, it's so cool things that is done. Peter, you have, I think, an easy task to get, right? You told me that, the talents. A lot of people apply for Northvolt. You have got a lot of, publication there. So, but we need more people in there. Yeah. We need more people.
Yeah, we need to get rid of the old thinking that industrial things are dirty and with a lot of noise. And it's the coolest computer. I say to all young people listening, the coolest space in the industrial space, better than Google, better than anything you can just imagine. You get to play around with a lot of cool computers. It's clean. It's bright, and it's the future.
I got to tell you, I hope my son is watching now.
Yeah.
He heard that. Okay,
Hey,
if you're watching, Joel.
What's his name?
Joel.
Joel, come to SKF.
Yeah, he's one of the. Yeah, he's a typical example. Exactly. Yes.
Adding on to what everybody said, I think the biggest thing that will really disrupt us and change is the fact that with software, once you deliver a hardware to a customer, it's just the start of a journey. So with connectivity and software and machine learning, you can actually, over time, you can analyze the user's behavior of your product, and you can, with software updates, you can basically, upgrade the product over its life cycle. And I think this is a major change, and it requires also, just as we said, for the industry to learn out of for example, consumer applications. If you take Spotify, for example, they have something they call weekly discovery, where they, for 50 million users, analyze your behavior and create your individual list for 50 million people every week.
Wow.
So, in our team, we built a team that is working on how can we apply that for our products in the field, and we brought in people from Google and from Spotify that is really good at analyzing large amount of data and using machine learning in how to improve it.
Yeah, please.
I would like to add also on to Peter and Ulf's comments about the people aspect of digitalization, because I think that's key. It's not only about attracting new talent that we need to do, but we cannot sort of dispose the middle people like us just because we've been around for a while. We can also learn. So we need to retrain people in the organization as well. That is just as important. And then at least my lesson learned is that we need to demystify digitalization. We tend to throw around sort of fancy words that's like, ooh, cool, and people is like almost getting scared, because digitalization is not for a selected few, it's for the whole organization. Otherwise you don't get traction. So even if you have this fantastic data lake where you get access, at least our experience is that it's not the limitation, it's not the advanced analytics team that you have that can figure out fancy stuff from all that data. It is all the people in the organization that needs to know enough about digitalization to ask the right questions to these people to get the value out. So the people that is working in assembly, the work in the workshop out in the Middle East, or that is working in R&D, the people in the organization, and that's why we have trained people. We call them translators. So we are 52,000 people employed already. We've gone through with 7,500 people, just to train to be translators. Actually, from their own knowledge of their operation, whatever they are into, what function, to ask the right question to these guys that understands how to use the data. And I think that is about demystifying the whole process. Otherwise, it's just going to be this fashion thing, and it's going to take too long to implement. And then we're too slow, and then Europe ends up behind.
And the times are long gone when digitalization was something that's up to the IT guys.
Yes,
right? That's
exactly.
what it used to be, kind of like. But
Yeah, I can only agree. I think there are the startups that can do what Peter said, or what Spotify is doing, but most of us are, let's say, legacy companies, and that's both true for the people that work for us, and then the systems that we need to integrate the legacy and so forth. And I think that's exactly the key, to train the people. Of course, we need new talent, right? But 80% is more engaging the current talent and training them, right? This is culturally important. I think we have achieved that. And then you can copy that on the system side, right? If you can't integrate into the legacy, we talked about ERP systems, we all have that, right? And many of them typically, right? So speed is about open to the legacy, and then of course, on the other hand, where you have we run open innovation in this space, right? On digital automation process, and of course on consumer experience. So you got to be compatible. That's a challenge. To all the startup technologies, whatever it is, but also to the legacy, right? And then I think we get the transformation through speed. And that's sort of on the cultural level true with systems and with people, and only together can we win. But I think we have good examples, and I think, like Mr. Henrik said, the thinking here is correct, and that's the way to win.
And upskilling.
But I do think one thing, commenting on that, I think Europe must be much more open to that. We can't innovate just within the companies. That innovation will come much more from the outside, and that, for example, acquiring startups is part of a natural ecosystem that brings kind of an evolution. And I think we're starting to see it, but I think Europe can become much better in that.
Who do you think is leading when it comes to that kind of mentality?
Well, I mean, you are seeing, companies like Siemens and Scania and others starting corporate venture and starting to invest in relating business. But I mean, if you compare where we are versus where you have Silicon Valley,
right?
You have 100 acquisitions a year from Google, Microsoft, etc. Yeah, I mean, it's just part of an evolution to bring in new ideas constantly into your evolution. Right. I think we have a lot to learn.
Which is also probably part of reskilling and upskilling, also, upskilling when it comes to your mindset. Yeah. And we had a very interesting discussion here yesterday with Janina Kugel, who has the Human Resources Department here at Siemens AG. And we were talking about the future of work. And at the end of the day, you can put in all kinds of programs in place, but then again, it's up to the people themselves to take advantage of it, right? To accept it and to see, hey, you know what? If I still got 10, 15, 20 years to work, I might have to go through this process another 2 times. Who knows? And if I'm not willing to do that, it's up to them, right? At the end.
But we still add your son then.
Yeah, I'm talking to my son actually right now. So, what expectations on the one side do you have when it comes to Siemens? I'm going to start off with Peter again. How has Siemens helped you with the business so far, and what are your expectations to the future?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that is absolutely crucial to us is we're meeting very fierce competition and trying to be as good or even better as the Asians that we know is working very rapidly. They evolve, they run very, very fast. and they are having lower labor costs. So for us, of course, to find even better ways of optimizing, to bring equipment and utilize European skills of integrating those, Siemens and others, and then build a data model on top of that, really kind of bring and take production into the next level is crucial for us to be able to stay competitive, for sure.
And I know Sandvik is Europe's oldest customer for Siemens industry software. I think you've been working together for 41
years. It's
so 41 years. Looking back, how do you project the next 41 years?
If I start 41 years ago, I think that what was built at that time was something that was the foundation of collaborative development, even before that expression was invented, so to speak. It was co-learning together, it was developing products together and way of manufacturing, and it created trust. And I think that is what we will continue to build on, and in the future not only develop things together, perhaps even sell things together, go to market together, but it comes from having a trust. So that is my expectation. Continue, but even further on into the sales process.
And expand the collaboration. How about you, Henrik?
I think we have a good example where we have now signed a sort of a coalition on a higher level with Siemens together with Scania and also together with E.ON, but also a little bit unexpected maybe H&M, the fashion company, to actually decarbonize their transport globally, both in and outbound. And I think that is that sort of coalitions I would like to see, the unexpected coalitions and the unexpected sort of partnerships that we have created, that those things will continue. And I think it's all about challenging each other sort of from scratch. And to do that, you need to have some sort of trust on a higher level, which we have because we share very much the same values as core values as companies. So.
Well, what I see is we're talking about startups, but we big companies, we need to be like startups too. And SKF has a vast, you can imagine, wherever there's something turning in Siemens, we're a supplier, and whenever we have a factory, Siemens is a supplier and partner to us. So we're really working in many, many areas together. And what I see now is the need for us to be as agile and fast as startups. And with the kind of initiatives that we're taking, we're trying to break things up, we're trying to be purposeful, put deadlines, innovate together. Well, it's not only the startups that will actually come with the new things. We will too. And I expect, we were talking to one of the main board members earlier today, and we were saying just keep the Siemens management, to give them support to stay agile and support this revolution that we're trying to do.
Nice, thank you. Jan?
Yeah, I think the digital twin at Electrolux is a reality since 10 years, growing. 5,000 users, and we have done this with great collaboration with Siemens, and we just build on that, right, on everything in that agile supply chain to serve our consumers and bring great experiences. And I can only say, we are in competition with Asian competitors. We don't want to work with others, and we don't need to. But we got to be inclusive, right, with startups, with a legacy and so forth. And I think we have the opportunity. And I see a great match in strategy. So we'll just drive harder.
Drive harder.
Yeah.
And Klaus, you mentioned already earlier how important proximity is, to be close to the customer. How are you going to secure this in the future, now sitting right next to our partners now?
What the wonderful thing is here in this group, we have already achieved a status where we talk about partners. So we are far away from customer supplier. So we are partners, we are co-innovating, we are talking about, we have a framework where we have an open dialogue, we are challenging each other. We are driving, I would say, as you said, we are driving technology forward, but with a purpose to do things better. And this is a way we work here together, and this is inspiring, but this is also innovative. And when we're doing the right things together, we are competitive on a worldwide scalable level. And this is what we are doing. I think it is so important that first of all, companies have their own value, that they have own competences, and they can bring into a network the competencies. Then we talk together what we do and where we link to each other and what is the purpose why we work together. And therefore, I really appreciate, and I have also to say thanks a lot to all of our customers here on the panel, that we have already have a very high level of this partnering, close relationship. So thank you for that.
So going in the right direction, definitely. Ulf, last question to you. How do you see Siemens' role in leading towards the future of industry?
I think Klaus said it, and all of you said it. I think partnership builds on trust, and that is something it's people behind. I mean, we need to work, get even closer. We have to be, in Sweden, humble and transparent and open, because then we can build trust. And that, I think, is the fundament to get things going. To work, sit on the same side of the table with a common goal, what we should achieve. And I think we have examples, all of us, what we can achieve then. Then we can really get things going.
Gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much. We are very German here, so we're going to quit on time, as you can see, okay? We have 50 seconds left. Can we give them a big round of applause here, ladies and gentlemen? This is something we've never done before. Thank you all. I had a great time. I hope you did also.
Siemens, ingenuity for life.